I'm Jay Horton. I make movies that make money. This is how. Today, I'm talking to my good friends and amazing filmmakers, Michael J. Epstein and Sophia Cacciola. They're a rare breed, making really cool personal films while still keeping an eye on the business side of things. Their films are daring, original, and quite fun. And they got a cool dog. Let's do the interview thing. Let's talk a little bit about the filmmaking industry and business.
Oh boy.
I've got nothing good to say.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to hear some ranting. No, I was talking to another filmmaker the other day about Amazon. You know, he was talking about the Amazon cut, and he was coming at it from a really interesting perspective. He had come up through distribution. He worked with Full Moon forever, and I forget the other company, but he'd been in distribution for almost 10 years. And he had a movie on Prime back in 2016, and it had made, I don't know, it was making something like 10,000 a month. Like it was killing. But his thought on it now, and he said, yeah, the money was great. I was glad to get it. But he was like that, that same movie, and, even a year before, like in any other platform would not have made that much money. Like he was saying basically, from the get that 14, 15 cents an hour was, they were grossly overpaying. They just didn't realize it.
I mean, my big rant on this is that, like, with the music, because we came from music, with the music industry, like, it went to like Congress or the legislators to set statutory rates for minutes per stream. And so I forget is it like 3 cents or something? Like, I forget what the actual rate is for like Spotify, but they're required to pay you a minimum rate. And I think that needs to be done for indie streaming, because there is no like base rate. And they can just keep lowering and lowering and lowering, which is what they're going to, like, Amazon's there to make Jeff Bezos billions, it's not there to support creatives. So I think like that happened in the music industry, and somehow we need to band together filmmakers to set a rate. And I think like the bigger studios are able to do that because they're able to like send their lawyers in and set up contracts, but for the rest of us, it's not available to us.
Right, because we're too fractured.
Yeah, it's fractured and they don't care.
Here's my surprise rant to you. I think the biggest hurdle to people like us having success with film is there still is point of sale at all for movies. I think basically consumers don't want point of sale. Okay. Yes, stuff sells on VOD, transactional, but what we really need is for all that to go away, with the expectation that everything is available via some kind of subscription service or some other thing where consumers aren't paying, per movie. They just have access to everything and watch whatever they want. And then the cost is built into a fixed rate, which is what Sophia's talking about. There's a set statutory rate that per minute streamed, filmmakers are paid, X dollars. And that would like level the playing field. And then you have a point of argument or debate or something that you can kind of like lobby for, because then you can say like, okay, this rate is too low. Here's a specific thing that everybody's paying this rate. Everybody's receiving this rate. Now we can go to Congress and say like, you need to pass a law that raises the rate to this in order to make filmmaking sustainable. And that that's what happened in music to some degree. The rate is still too low. Like, so, you get different people who argue about Spotify. And I think Spotify is exactly perfect as a model for music. The rate is too low a little bit, but I think that's exactly the right model, because we get paid. Just to put this in perspective, because I did the math at some point, you watch an hour of our movie on Amazon. So 1 hour of movie on Amazon is equivalent to about 5 minutes of our music streaming on Spotify.
Wow.
And the cost of us creating that music is so much lower than the cost of us creating film.
And individuals so if you're a fan of our music, you're going to listen to our songs over and over and over again. If you love our movie, like maybe you'll watch it twice. Like that's maybe the best we can hope for, right? So from a film perspective, like if I have a 90-minute movie, you watch it twice on Amazon, I get 3 cents, right?
Yeah.
For music on Spotify, if you listen to 6 of my songs, basically I make that same 3 cents. So it's like, half an album maybe. Half an album one time is the equivalent to like watching a movie 3 times. So, music is really, again, it's not people will debate, I'll get attacked heavily if I say the rate is fair or whatever, but the model is fair.
Right.
The model is the right model because consumers don't want to buy CDs. They don't want to buy digital. I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to deal with like, where are my MP3 files? Oh, they're not on my phone, so I can't listen, or they're over here, or whatever. I don't want to actually own stuff. I just want to have access to it all the time.
Yeah.
And so, Spotify is the perfect model for that. They have basically all music is available to a great degree. A high percentage of music is available. You can listen to almost anything on it. If that rate were raised up, I think that would be a perfectly fair thing.
Right.
In film, we have this crazy fracture where like, I want to watch a movie. What platform is the thing on? I got to go to like Just Watch or something, which doesn't have all of the platforms. So I go look there, not there. I have to go look on Hoopla, which is through the library here in LA. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they have things that aren't listed, elsewhere, but I have to search. It takes me like an hour to even find where the movie is available, sometimes before I can even figure out if I have access to it or not. I would love to see a model where like everything is basically streaming everywhere and you're just paying a fixed rate to filmmakers based on that. And even if it were like a scaled rate, like a movie that's new gets, X dollars more, or I would even accept like a budget, a varied budget staggered rate where if it's like a, studio movie at a high budget, there's like a statutory agreement that the rate is a little bit higher. But without that agreement, we have no, like, what the hell do we do?
Recourse, and we just like sit around waiting for them to like not stop paying us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and like things like Tubi pop up, but the Tubi's been bought by Fox, and like you never know when they're going to stop paying.
Yeah, I think about it all the time. I mean, right now anyway. I mean, I make my living basically off Amazon and Tubi. Yeah. I mean, there's others, but those are the two big ones. And I mean, it could go away tomorrow.
Right. And your chat with Linda Nelson was great with of Indie Rights because, these kind of companies, like what she's doing is constantly monitoring the market and trying to figure out like, okay, this platform is new this month and I got to shift all my stuff to try to like get everything on there to make money there. And like, it's going to be constantly shifting and it's never going to work in favor of the filmmakers. Like there's just more and more content. Like every day, I say this to Sophia all the time. I'm like browsing for a movie to watch. And I'm like, why do we make movies? There's like a million movies available to me for free. I can't watch even the movies that I add to my like watch list. I can't possibly watch them all in my lifetime. Like,
even
I just can't.
Like just the 70s movies, because we like love cinema from the 70s and like Italian. I feel like I watched hundreds of Italian giallo movies and there's always more. Like I'm always or like somebody gets the rights and releases it. I'm like, what's this movie? Like, how have I not seen it? I've seen hundreds of these. And even like, Shudder this month announced they have a bunch. I'm like, I haven't seen like 5 of these. I'm so excited. So like, I can't even get through one decade. Never mind like the new stuff.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain this to a younger folk the other day, but when I was just coming out of high school, I mean, I could literally, as far as US based released material, I could see everything in a year. Like everything that was released in the US of note, like I saw it between 94 and 2003. But that's not even close to possible today.
No. And so, it really becomes like the people who run the marketplaces have the advantage here because we want our movies seen, right? We do all this work. We want our movies seen. And now we're always desperately trying to fight between like, how do we get the movie some eyeballs versus how do we make any money back so we can make another movie or, things like that. It's always a weird balance. And without some kind of protection, we're so dead. I mean, I just don't know, and again, we may be successful with Tubi this month, but what happens next month? What happens next year? What happens 5 years from now? I don't see any models in which like we're still able to do this 5 years from now.
I don't know. I keep thinking that, like every industry has instability, from dawn of the industrial revolution to today, like it always changed. Nothing is, no matter where you are, nothing's guaranteed. But the one thing that gives me hope about the independent market now is more so than ever you know, like we have the ability to get our movies out, you know, to a mass audience with little to no gatekeeping, which, you know, brings its own problems. But like, I think the potential is there, and we can always self-market, or we can self-promote.
Well, that's the big thing about like Spotify, or, you know, preceding that iTunes. They were open markets. Like you can, it's very easy as a musician to get your album on Spotify, right? It became basically available. That was the moment, that shift to digital was the moment where like I could get my music available to everyone. I couldn't get my CD in stores around the country, right? I mean, as an independent artist, like they're not going to stock it at, you know, Tower Records or something. The key, I think, with film is that we've got that piece of it. Now we need the payment piece, right? Now we need the like guaranteed model of payment. And like, if you know, so if I know a year from now that this is the rate, this is how I'm going to be paid, whatever, I can at least approach the movie with some, you know, modeling or expectation of how to actually make the budget back. Right now, I can't even guess, because people always ask, they're like, you know, why did you use a distributor for this movie and why didn't you for this movie? And I'm like, well, at the moment that movie came out, that felt like the right choice. And a year later, it's always like, well, that was the wrong choice, or like the choice has changed, or, you know, what is the,
or what was promised changed.
What was promised changed? Like but the right thing to do is shifting so rapidly that we just don't even know. I can't even tell you how, like I couldn't even guess how much our movie, you know, might make next year. I couldn't even wager a guess.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I have pretty good market research available too, and I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. And I think that's a really bad problem, because it's hard to, you know, investing in it. Like, it's one thing if you know, there's a chance the movie won't be successful, but at least you have a model where you're like, this is the number of sales we need, or this is the number of views we need in order to make our money back. We know kind of how to get that. We know comparables that get that. Now it's like, anything I decide now, by the time the movie's made, might just be totally wrong. I mean, it just, everything about payouts changes, everything about what's available. Like Tubi could go away. I mean, Tubi could be, you know, Fox could say, no, Tubi's only for like Fox content. We just don't know.
Yeah. I think like the indies are, you know, because like with music, and we're harping on this, but like the record labels had to go after the legislation. And so because you had the big record labels doing it, it affected everybody. It trickled down to everybody. Whereas like with film, it's like the indies are like totally ignored by the studios. They like to pretend we don't exist. And like, we're just like in the bottom ocean here. And they're not going to go to bat for us. And they're able so far, I think, to set their own rates, you know, with the different distributors. So it's like, nobody is like, none of it's trickling down to the indies, and they would rather prefer we don't exist. You know? So until like somebody cares, it would take like a class action suit against Amazon or something like to set these rates.
I think it just needs like a big lobby group. It needs, it's not even really a suit, because I'm not sure there's like anything to sue.
How do you like get all these indie
indie
producers together?
You build a giant union of people, basically a giant union of filmmakers, and you get them to lobby Congress to pass, you know, a minimum rate. And it could be a minimum rate, so like they could pay higher for, you know, for other things. But like, if we knew we were guaranteed, even like, you know, right now it's maybe a cent a minute on Amazon, right? So we knew we were guaranteed a cent a minute. At least we know what the an hour. Yeah, sorry, cent a minute would be amazing.
I'd love that.
A cent an hour.
I'd be a rich man.
We, you know, like on Hoopla, we get paid 80 cents per viewing of our 1 hour movie on Hoopla.
Yeah,
it's 80 cents.
Yep.
So, you know, it's there's no real rules for it, and it's just like, how do you? This is where the role of distributors comes into play, and I think like that will, you know, right now we don't have access. Like you and I don't, and Sophia don't have access to a lot of the platforms, right?
Sophia might.
Sophia does actually. Yeah.
I'm just not sharing it with you.
I can't believe you have access and you didn't tell us. We don't have direct access to say to like Tubi maybe, but mostly like no. I would say I can't go to Tubi probably and say, I've got this movie, can I put it up and you'll just pay me directly? Just, they're going to be like, no, we're only working with people with certain catalogs and certain scale things. And a lot of them are like that. And I get it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But we just don't have the exact way in which that set of relationships works. In music, there are basic aggregators. So like there's a whole set of different aggregators you can go to, they all take a cut, but they just like have access to every platform. And you're pretty much guaranteed. Music is a little different because I go through CD Baby mostly. That's the company we use for aggregation. And they list, 30 platforms or something, and you submit your music to them, and all 30 of those platforms then like a month later have your music available on them. There's no like picking and choosing the content, so right now, even Amazon is getting picky about like what content is available. I mean, Amazon, which was at one point just the like dump everything there, now is actually, cleaning up their catalog and leaving off titles. And that becomes problematic too, because there's no home for things. There's no guaranteed home. 2 films ago, our film called Blood of the Tribids was on Amazon for a while. We actually made, good money when it was the 16 cents an hour or whatever, 15 cents an hour. And then they pulled it, we think because of the content of the movie mostly, but who knows, because they won't tell you.
Yeah.
And we just can't really find a good home for it that's available to people. So we ended up putting it on YouTube. Right. So the movies, again, this is a trade-off of money and eyeballs. And we've decided to take the eyeballs right now and like let people just watch it, because we don't want the movie to be buried or sitting on a shelf or like behind a crazy paywall. It's on like some platforms, but not things that people are really used to. So it's a weird, chaotic world, I think.
But it's not monetized on YouTube because of the nudity.
Right. It can't be monetized because of the
it has 5 million views, but we're not making any money on it because of it's under a mature label.
So wait, you can't monetize mature content on YouTube?
Yes. No. But
I did not know that.
The complicated part of that is we did the score. We collaborated with our friend Catherine Capozzi on the score as well. So the score is controlled by a rights. We have like a separate rights organization who manages our like digital rights.
Okay.
And so YouTube fingerprints it, auto detects all the music in the movie, like all the score in the movie. And I think in theory they're paying our music licensing company for the score being in the movie. So as people watch the movie, I think we're going to make some money, not a lot, but we'll make some money that goes through the performance rights organization and our digital aggregator, only on the music part of the film.
Wow. I had no clue that you couldn't monetize. And it's not like we're talking like hardcore adult content. There's like a little bit of nudity.
There's a lot of penises in the movie.
Well, I
forget the number.
That's
like
true.
7, 5. It's a lot.
It's not pornographic, but it's definitely like.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know how I forgot there was penises.
But I agree. It's not hardcore. It's not.
Yeah.
They're not sex.
Well, it just goes to show you how, like, I've seen the movie 3 times now, and like it's not like that's not what I think of when I think of it. So it's.
Well, thank you for thinking of the other things.
There is other stuff.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is it's a regular movie. It's barely like I mean, I don't even know how the MPA does stuff anymore, but I would say it's like at the higher end of R. Maybe
it would probably
NC-17.
It would probably struggle to get an R.
Well, that's the thing that drove me crazy about Amazon, because like, HBO has like Westworld up there. Like I can watch that on Amazon, but I can't watch my movie, which has like way fewer flaccid penises than Westworld did. But it was like a comparable situation where there was kind of like just non-sexual mostly, and it's just like a nude dude. So I felt like it was a similar situation, and like that's a show being promoted everywhere on billboards, and like so that's fine as long as the studios are doing it, but it's not fine for artists to be doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing about Amazon that makes me the most nervous and upset is just, it's not that they cut rates. Okay, you're going to cut rates, but they don't, there's no guidelines. There's no this is why you're making that, or this is why we're taking you off. It's curated now, but there's been no official announcement saying they're curated.
But that's the thing about it. Something like Amazon, they could be curated in the sense that they don't recommend. Like for our movie, it actually didn't even come up in search for a while on Amazon because it was flagged a certain way. And we were able to get around that. But for a long time, you could type the name of our movie into search on Amazon, wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
You'd have to like go to the bottom and click a thing that's like also show
Mature.
content. You know, it's like really hard. People would ask us, they're like, how do I find your movie on there? I'm like, go to our website and click the link. Like, but okay, you know, at least then it was available. And they can certainly take, even if they don't want stuff they don't think, like, let's say they think our movie is not good enough to be in the catalog, or they don't want people to view it, then turn it off.
Fair enough.
They could at least have it in the catalog and make it only via search or only via like direct link.
Right.
And not have it show up in like recommendation engine or other things like that. I mean, I think that's fine. Like if they choose to do that, but to create a platform that's like supposed to be the, you know, the full contents of the world and then kind of like yank that out from under everyone is a little iffy.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. We just don't have the Spotify equivalent for film. And I think it's coming. Like at some point, you know, films will just be, of every film basically will be available. People won't really be able to control the rights. Like they won't really be able to say, I don't want my film available. It'll just be available and somebody will earn money as a result of that.
Yeah. I think it's gotten worse too as platforms have created their own content because they feel like they need us less, you know, like I know everybody's always asking you how to get on Netflix, but Netflix has their own content. And same with Amazon now. And they started pulling stuff with the more of their own products that they put on there. So, I mean, I think that's a problem too. It's like they're all making their own prestige content.
And with Fox owning Tubi, who knows if they're going to start doing stuff like that over there.
Right. That's interesting too, because of Disney being like the head company, you know, like
yeah,
like you just might be like, what is this crap? Like just shut it down, you know?
Well, it's the ad-based version, you know, it's like, it's the different models. I mean, this is the confusing part is, right, there are all these different models right now. There's ad-based, there's, you know, there's transactional, there's all these different things. But I think like for Spotify, I keep going back to Spotify. I'm sorry, but I think I really do believe it's the right model. You know, again, you're going to get complaints on this being like Spotify sucks. Everybody, they don't pay anyway. I think it's the right model because like I can pay a subscription for Spotify every month, and that subscription then gives me access to the whole catalog without ads. And then, you know, whatever I listen to, they pay out X amount of money to those people. If you don't want to pay for Spotify, you can listen to everything, but they put ads in. So, you know, then the ads are paying for the thing. I think there's really a good argument for the same thing with movies. Like,
yeah, it's basically the Hulu model.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe, you know, some movies aren't available with ads. Like if you don't want your movie available with ad breaks, fine. But like, you know, making it so you have one catalog that has kind of everything and you can watch whatever you want, any movie you want, anytime. And like it either is going to be driven by payouts through ads or it's going to be driven by payouts through a subscription. Mm-hmm. It's got to happen. It's just got to happen. I mean, it may be 50 years from now, but it's got to happen.
And you're talking about like a universal thing across the board.
Yeah, that's what I really think. I mean, you know, Spotify doesn't legally, you're not like I could take our music off Spotify. They're not legally entitled to our music, but it's become the standard where like everybody's stuff is pretty much there. Very, very few things are not on Spotify. It's rare. And I think we need, you know, an equivalent platform to that.
Which seemed like it was going to be Amazon for a minute.
Yeah.
And Amazon has the power to do it. And they even have the power to like force studios to agree to like a statutory payout rate and not to do transactional. And I know like it's tough because, I mean, okay, you know, if you want to say like transactional is okay for 6 months or something, I'm fine with that. And I know like, you know, people use transactional right now, but I think we're forced to use transactional right now because there's not a good other model.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not criticizing it as a thing to do right now. I'm saying that it's the wrong model. It's a fight to get consumers like engaged in all these different kinds of models.
The Bill and Ted movie came out like $30. Now it's like $20. We're just like waiting for it to either be free or be like $2. And I know in a year it will be. So it's like I can just sit here and wait.
Yeah, I mean it'll be on Netflix or something.
Yeah, and people want the instant gratification of seeing it when it comes out and being part of the cultural part of that, but just wait. Which is like I think what a lot of people do. They just wait. Like it'll be there.
Yeah, and I think that'll happen more and more. And I've seen just even in the last year, like the way that the AVOD platforms have been growing out. Tubi's AVOD, and you know, this IMDb TV thing, which they got to change the title for. I hope. That's such an awful name.
It is very confusing. I saw you talking to Linda about that, and it's really hard to figure out like where to get it, or we watch a lot of stuff on Amazon among other things. But IMDb TV is integrated to Amazon, but you can't tell. So like the movies that are free to viewers on Prime have that little like bar on the side that say Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Things are on IMDb TV that are free to viewers with ads, or but they have no marker on them. So I'm used to like scrolling by stuff being like, oh, it's transactional, it's transactional, it's transactional. But then it turns out like I do have access to it without a transactional cost. I just can't tell by the visual representation. It's like they got to figure out the integration of all these things. But here we are.
All right, guys. Well, it's been really good talking to you. I am gonna shut this one down.
Thanks.
I just love them. Please check out some more of their work. I'll drop some links in the description. But whatever you do, keep making movies.